The role of parents in child's
Choice.
career choice. The role of parents in child's
Career choice.
parents. Are we still here? Okay, so please, it's not much, it's just like 5. Let's look into it quickly. So we move into subject selection and courses available in the university and wrap up. Okay, number 1, I think that parents should observe the child from childhood. Observation. Pay close attention to discover your child's talent. Do you understand? Close attention to discover your child's interest and potentials. That's the work of the parent. As the child is growing up from day one, be observing, who does this child resemble? Why is the child doing this? He likes doing that. Be checking. When the child gets to age 3, of course, by that time he or she is already in a school, in a nursery school. By that time, the personality of the child has already started coming out. You should be taking note of how this child is. Is he the type that likes other children? When other children come around, you may think that all children like children. No. There are some that when they see their mates coming, they are not comfortable. Am I right?
Yes.
There are some that can sit down and play alone. And there are some that feel so lonely when nobody is there, or when only adults are there. They feel so lonely. But when other children come, you see them moving around, playing and doing stuff like that. And you may even see a child that is more comfortable playing with adults than playing with other children. So you need to take note of all these things. This can help you to know the kind of child you have. As the child grows up, check the talent he is born with. What are those things that he does? You may see a child coming here now to scatter this flower. Not just to scatter it, but to actually investigate what is here. You may see a child remove this flower and keep, and even try to lose everything here. That child may be a child that has investigative ability. Maybe he's the type that likes to investigate something. So you may think that he's spoiling things. You may just open this water and try to see, remove the label. The child is learning. And other children may not have such interest. You may see the one that always like playing with electricity. You keep shouting, leave that place. You always like going to socket. Always like unplugging things and plugging it back. All these things are pointers. Are we together? All these things are what? Pointers. You may see the one that likes cooking. Well, children of these days, because of living in a flat, they don't have opportunity to cook with sand and all that. You see that this particular child, when he finishes cooking, his or her own is different. You may even be surprised to see that this other child doesn't like to cook. No matter what other children are playing with sand, he's playing with another thing. You need to find all these things out. Pay attention to your child. It is unfortunate that because of the way the economy is, that is what some people would say. So the mother and the father are both working, and the child is just in the care of the school or the caregiver for too long. Some people, it's so unfortunate that even weekend they still take their children to school on Saturdays. Those in nursery school, they don't need the disturbance. But that's the time you're supposed to actually observe your child. So the teacher in the school is already overworked, doesn't have time to come and be taking note of every bit of detail for you. That's why you are the parent. So why do you pick your child up in nursery school by 5 o'clock, and then the child will just eat and sleep, and you wake the child up by 7 or 6 a.m. and take the child to school? What time do you spend with that child? So at the end of the day, you may not discover your child's destiny. You may not know anything about that child. The child will just be a stranger to you. So this thing is not even at this age. This age now, they have a different story. But before they reach this age, you should have known. Oh, Chidinma, this is Chidinma. Chidinma is like this. Chidinma likes this one. Chidinma doesn't like this. I hope nobody is answering Chidinma. Okay, anyway, it's a common name, so no problem. So, but whatever, observe your child. And it is not too late to start observing your child. Parents, it's not too late to start observing your child. Have interaction with your child. Deliberately ask, what do you like? What do you like? What are the things you can do? You know, some of these questions we discuss. Deliberately ask your child. Get to know what he can do. Get to know what she can do. Because those things are meant to inform the decision you help the child to make. Not just to come up and say, this should be. Why do you say this should be? It should be because of what you have observed from the child. Are we together? Okay, let's look at the second thing. Don't look down on your child's godly talents, passion, interests, and potentials. Are we together? Parents, don't look down on your child's talents. Some parents look down on their child's talents. Don't look down on it. If your child have special ability to do a particular thing, don't look down on that thing. Instead, encourage it, unless it's a bad thing. But if it is a good thing, encourage it. Your child likes playing football. You only have to bring modality to control how the child plays football, not totally to condemn it. You see a child that likes playing music, like always putting things together and be drumming. Be drumming. And you see a child that likes singing, always humming things. Don't try to kill it. Allow that thing to come up. Encourage it. And I discovered that when parents appreciate the natural things the children have, those things come up easily. You see, the child is enjoying it. Because your child, the psychology behind this thing is that your child is already somehow struggling with this thing, somehow trying to dislike it, somehow believing that this thing is so common. Because people don't appreciate things that looks common. People appreciate things that are expensive. Abi? They like this thing because they paid so much money to get it. So this one that comes natural, they look down on it. So you being the parent, assuming you paid millions of naira for your child to go and learn how to fix projector, you will appreciate it. But this one that your child just come here and look at the projector and knows what to press, and before you know it, the projector is on. You are looking down on it. So let's understand that we parents, we are meant to appreciate those natural things that our children have. Those things were there. I think by God, it's God that puts those things. It's God that decided that a particular child should have mechanical ability. That a particular child should be able to carry a device and remove the nut and then couple it back. That a particular child should look at this bulb now and know how to fix it. Maybe off light in this place without you teaching the child. Do you believe there is a child like that? Just leave him alone in this place. In the next 2 hours, off this light and on it again. There are some children that are like that. So when you shout, I say, don't spoil the thing. Be careful how you shout. Yeah, you may try to, make the child not to spoil, but don't condemn it so she won't feel bad and stop that thing that she's supposed to explore. At that tender age, they are exploring. They are meant to explore, to discover a lot of things. Not just to discover, but to implement some of the things that are already in them. So when we do our work well as parents, to observe our children and encourage them with their passions and interests and potentials, we are going to have a better society. Because those children will grow up to walk in the path that they're supposed to walk. All right, let's look at the next point. This is a popular thing. Say, train up the child. Okay, the one you know is train up a child in the way he should go. So that what happened? When he's old. Yeah, you know it's a proverb, it's a wisdom. So when he's old, most times he departs. Are we together? I've seen parents that really train their children, but those children grow up and depart. So that scripture in Proverbs 22 verse 6 wasn't a promise. It's a wisdom. So being a wisdom, if the necessary principles are not observed, it may not happen. So you may train up a child and he grew up and start making his own choices, because life is full of choices. But let's hope that if you train up the child in the way of the Lord, that child will be in the right path. I also like this other scripture. Say, bring the child up in the discipline and instructions of the Lord. That is Ephesians chapter 6 verse 4. Bring up the child in the discipline and what? Instructions of the Lord. If you, I think I didn't quote the entire scripture there. I quoted a part. The other part say, do not anger your child. Do not let your child get angry. But bring up your child in the discipline and instructions of the Lord. Anytime you try to correct your child outside the instructions and the disciplines of the Lord, you are making the child angry. And the Bible in that passage, I think, suggests that you should not abuse your child. Are we together? There are some parents, there are some children that grow up and reach the age of maturity, and they are holding things against their parents. Some of them even mature, reach 30 years without forgiving their parents. They still feel that my parent did this to me, my parent hurt me. It may not be sexual abuse, even though that one too is happening in some homes, in some places. Fathers are abusing their children. Then mothers too. Recently, I heard of a mother who gave birth to 3 children, and the father is who? Her son. Read the story. And it's not triplets, so I mean they born the first time, born the second time, and born the third time. Who is the parent? Who is the father? Her son. Yes. So I have learned that many parents expose their children to sexual immorality. How can a mother give birth to a child? I don't understand. What play did they have? What happened? What happened? Before we used to say fathers abuse their child, abuse. Now mothers. What happened? How did they go to that point of giving birth to the first one and nothing happened, and still give birth to another one and nothing happened, and still give birth to the third one? In the matter of 2 or 3 witnesses, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, a matter is established. So if it is one, we can understand it's a mistake. But when it gets to 2 and 3, it's no longer a mistake. A deliberate act is established. So we have to be careful. We are meant to lead our children in the discipline and instructions of the Lord. See, you are not helping your child if you do not model a good Christian life for that child. In the university here, when the children are celebrating, your children are celebrating matriculation, many of them are celebrating freedom. Yes, when they buy, dance and take pictures, they are celebrating their freedom. Freedom from parents. They have entered into the world to do whatever they see in the world. You'll be shocked that some students here in campus are living as husband and wife. Yes, I heard a report of a parent that came because she called her child, her daughter, and a guy picked the call. And the father had to rush from Enugu. It happened at Hilltop here, if you know Hilltop. The father had to rush to campus and then get to the house, and lo and behold, the house is being occupied by husband and wife. They call them campus couples. Husband and wife. So it was a serious case. They had to arrest both of them and take them to security unit. And they were living together. And if you interact with students, you realize that many students are living comfortably as husband and wife. That's why I'm telling you that when they leave, when you say you come and take picture during matriculation, they are sending you forth. They are waving to you, say bye. I've come to the world. But the whole thing boils down to how you discipline your child. You don't expose your child to the instructions of the Lord on time. You don't expose the child to the instructions of the Lord. That contributes. You won't always be there with your child. That's the truth. What is going to make this child to make the right choice? Because life is full of choices. What is going to inform the decision of this child is what you put in the child. So let's wake up. The society is becoming something else. And let's also bear in mind that if we do not do our job well, God is going to hold us responsible. I mean the parents now. Just know that if this child is becoming something else, you will answer. You will answer. What did you do with the ability I gave you as parents? With all the resources and the empowerment I gave you, what did you do? How did you bring up your child? What are you going to say? You say, I told her to go and study medicine. She insisted that she should study theater art. So I left her alone. Why do you want her to study medicine? Is it what I created her to do? So please, we have work to do to produce the generation that God wants. Okay, let's look at the fourth thing. Provide relevant information that can help the child to discover his real career. Provide relevant information that can do what? Help the child to do what? Discover his career. Keep records. How you do this is you keep records of encounters and prophecies concerning the child as at the time the child is still in the womb and when you give birth to. Let me give you a tip. The day you take him, become pregnant, if you're a woman, that's the day you start praying for your child. Are we together? If you are the father, you lay hand on your wife's tummy and pray. The day they tell you that the child is born is not the day you drink and get loose. As you are receiving the news, running there, you are praying for the child. You are praying for the child. You have work to do. If you read your Bible carefully, this is what Rebecca did, the mother of Jacob. This is what Manoah and his wife did, the mother of Samson. This is what John the Baptist, Elizabeth did for John the Baptist. They were all praying for their children. They discovered their children's destiny. I'm not against the parents suggesting what the child should do, but let it come from the place of revelation. Are we together? So, what are the encounters? What are the prophecies? What are the understanding, the observations regarding this child that you have? Such information should be provided. I remember growing up when I was still looking for a way, finding my way in life. There is a day I called my mom. That was when I was in maybe year 2 or year 1. There is a day I called my mom. I started asking her, when I was a little child, what are those? Because I know you used to pray. What are those prophecies? Are there some words that were specific to me? Aside from that, experiences. I asked her, what are the experiences you had? When I was in the womb, what are the things? What are the encounters? What are the experiences? So these things are very, very important to your child. I'm talking to parents now, basically. And then the children do. The students, tomorrow they will become parents. Tomorrow doesn't mean tomorrow. I mean when the time comes. We do not want early birth. There is no when the right time comes, they become parents. So experience you have, observations you make, encounters, prophecies, all those stuff put together can help you to prepare your child and send your child in the right direction. Is that okay? Okay. Then I think the last one now, under instruction, the rules of parents. Cooperate with counselors and teachers to discover the career path that may be good for your child. Can we read it together? Let's read.
Cooperate with counselors and teachers to discover the career path that may be good for your child.
Okay. What I do primarily is to train counselors. They call us counselors, educators at the university. I'm not employed as counselor, but I practice counseling just as something I love to do. But what I am paid to do is to train counselors. So we often interact with them. And one of the challenges they have is that parents don't cooperate with them. As a matter of fact, many parents do not believe in the school counselors. They don't even believe that those counselors know anything. Especially parents that are rich, the high class. I'm sorry, I'm not meant to insult anybody, but this is just the report I've been getting, and that is very, very wrong. The school counselor is well trained to be able to help your child discover the career path that is good for him or her. So when a suggestion is coming that the child is going to be doing well in science, commercial art, or whatever, if you have any disagreement, you should come and reason with the counselor. Maybe bring in your own observation of this child. Bring in your own knowledge of the child. Instead of resisting it, say, no, I want my child to be this. You are not helping the system. You are not even helping that child. We have so many frustrated medical students, if you don't know. We have so many frustrated law students, if you don't know. I'm saying it not from the story I'm hearing, but from encounters, from my own interactions. I'm a counselor. I counsel students. Many of them that seems to study those courses still have issues, have problems, and some of them are crying. I didn't want to study this. It's my parents. The first serious client I had, I think my final year in University of Uyo, was a student who was forced to study physics by his uncle. Forced to study physics. What was the issue? The uncle studied physics, and then came to the father, his brother now, and said, physics is good, start painting picture around physics, and then encourage that the father his brother should make the child to study physics. And he succeeded in convincing the father of this child. And the father said, if you do not study physics, my hand is not there. It's either you study physics or no education for you. The child said, okay, no problem. The first serious counseling issue I had. The child went and started studying physics. He studied physics for 4 years. It's supposed to be 4 years. Finished the 4 years. He had extra 2 years. In that university, 4-year course, you have 2 years added. After that, if you cannot make, 1 point or so, you'll be driven out. Or if you cannot graduate after 6 years, that's for a 4-year course, you'll be sent away. So this child has reached the 6th years. That is, he has completed the stay, the tenure, the timeline for him to be in the university. And he now came for counseling. I happened to be the one that was there at the counseling center that day. After hearing the story, I said, let me check. How can someone be in the university for 6 years without making 1 point? How can? So I started interacting with him. I realized that all his GA scores, that's the general courses, he made A's in all of them. Very sound in those courses. But what is happening to physics? Say he never liked it for one day. That whenever he sees a physics teacher, he's angry. Yes. Hello. Yeah. That whenever he sees a physics teacher, he's tired and he's angry. Okay. Please, don't be angry with your physics teacher again. I can see that some of you don't like physics. Okay, it's okay. So I cancelled this boy. So I cancelled him. At the end of the day, he agreed to go and get another admission in psychology. Yeah, and that is what he's good at. As at that time, even though he was passing through this thing, he was still being able to help other people. He liked talking with people. If you are mourning, he will come to you. If you are looking sad, he will come and just encourage you. So when I discovered this, we discussed, and we realized that he should go to either counseling or psychology. He agreed to go to psychology. That is, going to psychology is after 6 years of being in university. After being 6 years of doing physics. Is anything wrong with physics? No, nothing is wrong with physics. All these students, I don't know, all these students that don't like physics. That was my best subject. Yes. Physics was my best subject. I read it. In fact, if I'm to read 3 times in a day, I'm going to read physics 2.5 times and read other things half time. You know why? I wanted to be engineer. Yes. So I read all that. I spent my time reading physics, reading maths. I tried in those subjects. WAEC, I wrote very clean results in science. But then what happened? I'm not in counseling by frustration. I pick it first choice. Just that God helped me. So when I was registering JAM, that was when I changed completely from the thought of being an engineer to studying counseling. It was just the help of God. I can't go into the detail. When we had a career workshop at University Secondary School, I gave the full detail of what actually happened. That I'm now a counselor, well motivated. I like it. I love it. I'm proud to say I'm a counselor. Moving from science background. So sometimes it's not ability you have that can really determine where you should go. You may have ability to do just anything. I think I was like that. I had ability to do anything. I used to tell people that I can read law and come out first class. I can read anything. But then am I supposed to do everything? No. So you may be like that, have ability to do this, to do that. Then you have to think beyond ability. That was what helped me. Up to today, my best physics teacher, he was a cop at the time in my school. We are still interacting. When he heard that I was doing masters in counseling, he started asking me what happened. Because my passion was so strong in reading chemistry, reading physics, reading biology and all those things. You know what you spend your time doing, you can become? Hello? You know you can become what you spend so much time doing. If you spend so much time reading mathematics, you can become a good mathematics person or teacher or whatever. That does not mean you're supposed to be there. But you can become it. That's why you have to be careful of what you dedicate your time to do. I dedicated that time to do physics. I hated government and all those art courses. Anytime I see my government teacher, I will feel bad, feel frustrated, feel disappointed. So I only did government in SS1. Thank God for SS1 that they allow people to do all these courses. If I did not do it, I wouldn't have any idea of other subjects outside science because of how my life was dedicated to schools. So, but when the time came, I now started appreciating those other subjects because I knew that's where my life is supposed to be. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have spent time reading physics, reading maths, reading chemistry. I wouldn't have spent time doing all that. I don't even know how those things are helping me now. Maybe it's just making me serious. I don't know. So, the point is this. That person I was talking about in physics that was frustrated become a very good student in psychology and is very good in helping people, counseling people, talking to people. So parents should be careful how they impose courses on their children. They should cooperate with counselors. Give the counselors the necessary assistance. Love the school counselor. Believe in them. Don't think that they don't know anything. It's even worse when you meet parents that are, maybe lecturing or at the peak of their career. They feel they know everything. No, sir. No, ma. You don't know everything. There are many things you don't know. Allow someone that was trained to do that thing to help your child. I think I've said enough. So let's move on. So that is the end of the role of parents. And we are going to, okay. Before we move to the next class, which is going to be subject combinations and courses available in the university, and then personal requirements like ability, interest, and all that. Before we go into that, our counselor, the chief counselor in Suka, would say something.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very happy and impressed. The work you're doing is awesome. I pray that God will keep taking you to heights. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
A little thing I want to talk about: parents observing their children when they are small to identify their potentials and encourage them along that line. I want to say that a lot of courses have really suffered in the hands of parents because of ignorance. It happened to me too. The society shapes a lot of things around us. If, for instance, as a parent, you discover that your child has a flair for music, there's something that tells you that musicians are crazy, that they are wild, that they are mad, and you don't want your child to be mad. You don't want your child to be crazy. You want your child to be coordinated. And so this child that is always trying to play musical instruments, you feel like, if I don't check this child, I'm going to lose this child. Now, for parents, if you have such a child, if you look well now in the society, you will have seen a lot of people that have succeeded positively in those areas. Start early supporting the child and letting that child see the positive side of that same career. The reason is that if you don't, the child might be forced to face another direction, and somewhere later in life, when you will no longer be able to bend this child, the child goes back to that thing. And that time, it may be very, very difficult to control his level of influence and the people he will meet at that level. I don't know if you understand me. So when you see that child at that point, assuming it is Christian music you want, and you have seen this child in music, encourage the child and begin to face the child into Christian music. when he still has the ability to believe that this thing he's doing is relevant and that you like it. Do we understand? So as the child is growing with the knowledge that Christian music is good and what he is doing is relevant to it. He may just face that and grow with it. Another thing about parents forcing their children to do another thing instead of what the child wants to do. A lot of things cause it. Sometimes the parents want to live their unfulfilled lives in their children. This parent has always wanted to become this, but somehow it was not possible. And so the parents want that child to live out that thing that he or she was not able to live. I wanted to become a nurse, for instance, and I wasn't able to become that. And then somehow I tried to push my daughter. I want you to become a nurse. I want you to become a nurse, so that in her I will see that thing I wanted to do. It's not very proper because that child may not have the flair for nursing. So as parents, let's just try to be open-minded. He has brought in a lot of scriptures to show us that God has final say in everybody's life. And that anything you do and you do it well, you will make a name. And then the final thing I want to talk about is the reaction that I saw when he talked about physics. I got a lot of negative impression from the students. You know, one of the things that make people have limited career choice is when they have very low understanding or very narrow understanding of what could come out from any course they want to choose. Physics, for instance, if you just hear physics, the first thing that comes to you is either the person just studies physics and ends up becoming a physics teacher. Is it not true? And then one other thing, I just hope a few teachers are here. Part of what makes children run away from certain subjects also is the teacher's attitude.
Yeah.
Listen, please. Please, this is somebody's time. Teacher's attitude. And so I want to beg, if there's any teacher that is here, you can make your subject, no matter what it is, to be appealing to students. Because students can just run away from what will make them somebody in future just because of you. My physics teacher, for one, made some of us run away from that physics. My physics teacher will tell you, that time he was a copper, a Yoruba man. He said, today is physics. I want to tell you people that physics. No, listen. So I want to tell you that physics is not for dull people at all. Physics is not for dull people. That's the first impression in class, and you're telling us it's not for dull people. So how do you think that the average child in the class will pick interest in that subject? Do you understand? And so my son, when he chose physics, initially he said he wanted to do engineering. I was excited. I thought I knew some things about engineering. But somehow he discovered another mentor in physics. And at the point of gaining admission into the university, he decided for physics. A lot of people discouraged us. Even some professors in the university, they said, don't allow that boy to go and study physics. What will he become? He will just become a physics teacher. And I started telling that boy, you know, parents, now there's a way you want to move the thing. Now why don't you think of another thing? So he was insistent. And then one day he talked to me so boldly. He said, you want to hear if God wants me to study physics? If that is what you want to hear, then God has asked me to study physics. That was the day I stopped talking about his moving away from physics. He went into that physics. He studied it. He came out with a first class. He became a graduate assistant. And from him, I discovered that there are too many branches of physics. You know why I'm saying this? For all of you that make some noise about physics. If you're science inclined and you have a flair for physics, please step up. Don't follow the majority to think that physics is a dry area. It's a very, very lucrative area. And if you have the flair, don't run away. Instead, you can meet your teacher, meet others that know how to do it. Nowadays, medicine, law, and all of those big courses in quotes, they are no longer that trendy, if you ask me, because people have discovered a lot of courses that people look away from, and today they are making waves in the society. So I just want you to open your mind, both parents, both children, and taking what God wants you to do. Don't follow friends to choose the right thing. Thank you so much. Presenter, God bless you. You're doing a good job. Right.
Thank you so much. Yes. Yeah. You know, hello. If for any reason, are we together?
Yes.
If for any reason you didn't want to take what I said, I don't think you have any reason to refuse to take what she said. Yeah. Because of the years of her experience. One, she has been in this business long enough for you to take whatever she says. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah, it's a privilege to hear from you. Okay.
All protocol duly observed. Please, I wish to ask one question before I attend to other things. And that question is this. Now, we've been sitting down for over 2 hours now, listening to the beautiful, well-prepared, and well-delivered career programs for our lecturers. Now, I have one problem. Now, the question goes this way. For instance, in a situation, a child makes a choice of career, has all other factors surrounding choice of career. There is even cohesion between the child and the parents. They all agreed she has the capability, the interest, the potential, and all the rest of them. Is there any possibility that would make the child not to study that course that will lead her or him to that particular career she has chosen? And if there is, how do we help that child to redirect his mind, maybe to another course that can lead her in life? Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Why I ask this question is that we know very well that some students come from a very poor home. And it's not just about interest. It's not just about capability. It's just not about potential and other factors. Sometimes the things that can help the child to achieve her aim financially may not be there. Take for instance, you want to study medicine and you come from a poor home like myself. How do we now make it that the child will actually actualize her dreams? If not, then what do we do? The lecturer, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for the well-packaged question. If all these things we've said are followed, all the principles, then what do we do regarding the unsaid principle, which is the resources, Abi? The resources, maybe other factors like availability of the course in the university, and what else? Maybe finance is the resources. maybe the parents don't have the money that is required to train his child in that particular area. There are situations where we look at what the child really wants to become in life, or what the child should become in life. And then we look at the courses that are possible for that child to study. Most times it's not just one course that the child should study to become a particular thing. Most times it's not just one course. So we look at other possible courses we suggest for the child. And the idea behind it is, if these other courses are followed or are studied, the child may still end up becoming what he wants to become. There may be situations like that. But then regarding finance, basically, if the parents don't have money to sponsor his child, the child can still go to school. There are many people that go to school and they are not being sponsored by parents. Some of them learn trade first and then raise money from the trade. Maybe they learn how to make hay, learn how to sew clothes, learn how to sell, buy and sell, just anything that can raise money, and then plan to go to school and study that course when the money is there. Some of them even get a job and work for some times, and then progress academically. Then some get a scholarship. There are scholarships available in many courses here in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. It's even more available outside Nigeria than here. There are students that if they want to study abroad, there are so many opportunities in some fields, in some areas. They can access these things, just get the necessary information. Oh, my child wants to study this, but there is no money. Is there any way this child can be helped? So if you are meeting a counselor or the school or the teacher or the counselor may think of a possible way of helping this child to access funds for his or her education. That is, if money is solely the problem. One of the ways may be what I said before, learning something, learning a skill. What skill do you have? What can you do? Can you have a camera like this and do some works? Many students here in campus are working. Many of them, they do design, they do all sort of things that provides money. We have so many self-sponsored students. I was one of them, from first degree to PhD. Yeah? And if you ask around, there are so many too. So I grew up, I lost my dad before I started primary school. Do you know what that means? Before I started primary school, because that time you have to cross your hand like this. Then I lost my dad. After the burial and everything, you are on your own. So, but then my mom struggled, passed me through primary school, secondary school. After secondary school, I remember when I finished WAEC, my mom said that her income can no longer cope, that she has given me the basic education. I said, Mom, thank you very much. You have tried to give me WAEC. But then I have ambition. I know where I'm going. So I started planning. What can I do? Back then, I engaged in so many things. I sold kerosene, bread, anything that you can buy and sell that time, just to raise fund. I learned some skills. I learned musical skills. All through my undergraduate days, I was a musician, known as a musician. Not like I have a song, but I play music. Play almost all the instruments. Keyboard, drums, guitar. If I don't tell you that I played guitar, you wouldn't know. If I don't tell you that I play keyboard, you wouldn't know. I use it, and I use the money. I did it, and I used the money to sponsor my education up to master's level. I got a job in UN after master's. Yeah. the university employed me after my master's program. So the PhD was now funded by, let's say, the salary I was getting. But even if I didn't get a job, because I knew where I was going, I would have still done my PhD without asking anybody for anything, only asking God. So I'm trying to say that the ambition should not be killed. The child that wants to be a medical doctor should just keep the focus. Look for the possible way of achieving this. The money mustn't come from the parents. If the parents have, good and fine. But if they don't have, there's nothing you can do about that. Let us reason together to know the possible way of funding the child's education. I didn't even bother looking for scholarship. I'm not saying you shouldn't look for, but it didn't come to my mind. What was in my mind is, what can I do to get 1 naira? So I was busy doing a lot of things that time. And I used it to achieve my education. Here in the university, I've seen so many people that are doing the same thing, sponsoring their education. Sponsoring their education. They don't ask parents for anything because the parents don't have. Some, they don't even ask uncle, they don't ask anybody. They focus on what is possible. So there is always a way. There is always a way when you determine to do it. When you have enough reason for you to be educated, you find how to get yourself educated. Just find good reasons. Why should I become an engineer that I want to become? Have a strong reason and then start thinking of the possibilities. If they say the course is not being offered, the course you want to study is not being offered in Nigerian universities, and you still want to offer that course, look the country that have the course and think of the possible way of going there to do the course. Don't say there is no way. There is always a. We actually okay.
My question is related to what the vice principal admin have asked.
Okay.
In Nigeria today, a course like medicine can become a very difficult area to go for the average Nigerians.
Okay.
No matter how brainy a child may be, if it's not politically connected, to get in there is not very easy. If a child has a potential for medicine, and in view of the situation in the country, cannot get admission to go to university to study medicine, what advice would you give such a child?
Okay. Well, I may not want to believe that all the universities in Nigeria will be difficult to get admission, as you said. What I usually tell students is, if you want to study medicine, don't say it must be in UNN, unless God reveal it to you that it must be in UNN. Think of other universities within the country where you can still study the same course. Yes, I understand why people like medicine in UNN, the lecturers, and I think it's well packaged, maybe compared to other universities. People like it. So on daily basis, it's becoming difficult. So it's not like the child qualified for the admission and the admission was not given. The problem is that there are so many students or so many candidates coming in to this course or applying for this course, and as a result, the points, the admission quota is increased. Sorry, the what is it called? The cutoff points is increased. Because one thing with cutoff points is it is determined by the number of students that are needed in that department and the degree of performance. So if 20 students wrote screening test and JAM, and all of them score very high, and the department is looking for only 10 students, they have to raise the cutoff points to have a way of disqualifying some people. So in that way, a very brilliant student may not still get the admission that year. in that university, it does not mean that same child cannot get the same admission in another university. So it is always good to try different options. Try state university, try federal university. Then it's always good too to look for alternative. There's what we call alternative courses. If I don't study medicine, what else can I study and still become what I want to become? What I want to become, must I be a medical doctor before I do it? If I must be a medical doctor, then I have to fight and get the admission. I have to fight and get the admission, either here or there, wherever the admission can come from. Wherever the admission can come from. But if my passion can still be fulfilled without me studying medicine, then it is not out of place to look for alternative course. I don't know whether we are still together. It's not out of place to look for alternative course where you can study easily instead of becoming a customer to JAMB, writing it every year. That's why I said I don't just take, if I'm counseling someone one-on-one on career, I don't just take what you say. I have to investigate a lot of things. You say you want to be a medical doctor. What is the main reason? What's the problem you intend to solve in the society by being a medical doctor? Because that problem can still be solved if you become something else. Do you understand? If you become something else, that problem can still be solved. That need you want the society to meet just by you becoming a medical doctor may still be met if you become something else. So I usually find out that after doing this thorough investigation, there may be a better alternative for the child. There may be a better alternative.